tutorial. In this tutorial we will learn about the tables in HTML. So to get started, let's create a new file and we will save this file inside an HTML folder. We can create a new folder, for example lecture number 4, and because that is a big topic, so we will divide into two parts. So let's cover the part 1 first, and we can name this file as index.html. Once we save this file, then we need to open this inside our browser as well. So what we will do, we will go into the folder where we have created this, and once we will open it, it will be opened inside our Chrome browser or default browser. So if we test it, then we can just click save and then refresh our browser, and we will be able to see the changes here. So to get started, let's what we can do is we will start it with the HTML like we always do, and then in the HTML you all know that we need head, and then similar things we need it for, like in head we need title as well. So we will call it table HTML part 1, and if we go back to our browser and refresh it, and we can see here the title as well. Then we need to add the body tag, and inside the body we will be writing our all code. So for the tables, what we will use is called a tables tag. So just to give it a big heading as our topic, so I will call it HTML tables. And if we see it, then we can come to our browser and refresh it, and we can see the H6 here. And then what we can do is to make it little bigger, we can change the heading tag to H3 for example, and then refresh our browser and we can see here. Okay, so for the tables we will use the table tag, and we always have a open tag and closing tag for tables. And in the tables there are few things which you need to learn about. For example, there is table rows, tables data, table headers and captions, and also table cells which are used to show the data. So the basic thing we always need is to create a table is a table row, and row is a way of showing the data in horizontal way. And then inside the table row, for the first row we always create th means headings of the rows we will have. So for example, if I put name here, and if I just go back to browser and refresh, so you can see here the name is visible. Then for example, if I add another table heading over here, and we will call it city, and along with this then we will try and add one more heading over here, and we will call it for example country. And then if we come back to our browser refresh, so now we can see here table headings. Then this is our first row. For the second row we need to again add the table row, and now we don't need the table headings, now we need the table data, because headings are used for the first row for the data. So for example, if I add John Dewey over here, then here one thing we need to consider is the table rows headings should be same as table data, because now we have 3, and if we refresh over here, it will only show the name because we don't have the city and country added over here yet. So what we can do is we add we now add a city over here. For example, if we add Lahore, and then if we add one more data and we add the country, then it will it should show here, and refresh, we can see over here that the name of the person, the city and the country. And then for more data we need to add another row. So always when you are going to add new data, you need to add new rows. So for example, in this we add another person named Mike, and for example he lives in Sydney and the country is for Australia. And if we come back to our browser and we just refresh it, and then now we can see two peoples over here. So the main tag is the table. Then for the rows we use table row. So this is one row and we are giving it as table headings. Headings are a little bit bolder than table data. That's why we always add TH for the table headings and TD for table data. There is one more thing which we always add if needed, which is called caption. So for example, if we save it as students table and we refresh our page, and we see that this is the caption, which means this table is for the students. Then now you can also divide your table into sections, which is called table headings, table body and table footer as well. So for example, because our first row is heading, so we will call it a table head, and we will move over this row because this is a table heading. The reason we do this is because in future if we need to add a few CSS for table headings, then we will do that way. And similarly, because we have this body of the table, so I will cut it from here and I will add another tag which is table body, and in this table body we will paste our previous code. It will not affect anything on the table. If we refresh it, for example, it's the same, but the benefit of this is when we will apply CSS. So if we apply CSS to table head, it will be automatically applied to the all sections of the table headings. And then we also have one more tag which is called table footer, and if in the table footer you want to add some informations, you can add that as well over there in the table footer, and you can make it that way. So for example, in the table footer as well, we add one more student as well. For example, if it's John, it will not affect anything on the front end, but for the later on, once we will check the CSS on the tables, at that level we will analyze it, what is the benefit of adding the tags for the footer, body and header as well. So then now we have few more things, like for example, we can see we don't have a border over here, so we can try out some CSS as well. And we in the head we add a style tag, and in the style if we mention okay, we have a table and we want to add some border to the table, and we call it for example 1 pixel, and then we will try and refresh our page. It's not showing anything because we have not given the color over here. So if we say it okay, table solid black, and then we save it and then refresh over here, and now we can see that we have added a border to the table. But this border is not added to it's only added to full table, it's not added under the rows and the columns, right? So if we, for example, if we say okay, we want to give this to the table rows and table data as well, then we will see okay, it's added now against the table rows and table data as well. And if we remove the table, so by removing things and adding things, now you can analyze it, how it shows the border around the table at different levels. There are different types of borders which you can add, which is called border styles, for example. So for example, if we add a border style over here and we call it dotted border, and then we refresh it, and then we can see it's added a dotted border over here. There are many types of borders like dashed, solid, double, ridge, outset, and you can also set to none for not any border as well. So this is how you can add the borders to the table. And then if we see it as, like for example, if we want to give the border some color, so that change the color of the border, you can add over here as well. And or if you want to give a separate color over here, you can give as well. For example, I say it as border color, and we call it, for example, green for testing, and then we refresh it and it's green now, you can see it. Then we can increase the border size as well. For example, if we add it 10 pixel and then we refresh, so it's because dotted, that's why it's showing the dots. And if I put none, then we will see how it will look. So there is no border right now. It's different by default. It's a simple line which is added under against the border colors as well. So this is how you can try out and change the different border colors accordingly. There are many more properties which you can add to the tables, which we will learn in the next tutorials. Thank you.